All right, it's your coach that knows recruits the most. Coach Cam here with an exclusive interview, one of the best coaches in the GLIAC, if you ask me. We got Taylor Johnson here. Welcome to our podcast, Coach. Why don't you introduce yourself to our platform?
Cam, what's up, brother? Hey, I tell you what, it's a lot easier recruiting not going out against you, man.
Oh, I'm sure. Right? I'm sure it is.
Hey, I tell you what, it's been nice not walking in the gym and seeing you in that red and blue, man. There's no doubt about that.
I was in there. I was in there. Sure.
You were everywhere I went, man. You were everywhere I went. So, oh, man, I appreciate you guys having me on here. I'm from Kalamazoo. I was born and raised in Kalamazoo. So the Mitten's home, man. The Mitten's home. I've been all over the place, North Carolina, Colorado, Florida. You know, I've been all over, but the Mitten's home, man. This is some of the best basketball that I've been around. I love the Midwest. I love to recruit the Midwest. I love being here at Grand Valley, so I'm just super excited.
Okay, so what's your background? You say you're from Kalamazoo. Where'd you start coaching first? How did you get your breakthrough per se into coaching?
Yeah, well, I was actually a pretty good baseball player in high school, and I really thought I was like, man, I'm going to probably try and play college baseball. But I just knew basketball better. Like, I understood the game, the flow of it, kind of felt it out. We won a state championship at Kalamazoo Christian.
Okay.
We actually
not too shabby. Just won a state championship. You know,
we beat Flint Beecher, which people are not still over. You know, it wasn't the Monte Morris era. It was before that.
Okay.
In the overall area, but back in 09 or 08, 09, and that was a great thing. And that really kind of got me going. I was like, man, this basketball thing's sweet. It'd be sweet to do this for a living. So when I was 18 years old, Camp Darrell was running a pretty good AAU program in Kalamazoo.
Solid.
And I tried out and I got cut. And I got cut. But he was just cool. Like, he was just such a cool dude.
Yeah,
and I was like, well, I got cut, whatever. So I went to play for the Courthouse, and we were pretty good. And we actually beat Camp Darrell one day. And after the game, he kind of came up to me and was like, hey, man, like, sorry it didn't work out here. Thanks for kicking our butt, like, blah, 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 chopping it up. And then he actually was my security guard at Kalamazoo Central when I took some EFE classes over there.
Okay.
So he was just like, hey, what are you doing next year? And I said, man, I don't know, I'm trying to figure it out. He said, why don't you come coach my 15s? And I was like, for real? You want me to come coach? Yeah, come coach my 15s. So I was like, all right, show up at tryouts, handed me a whistle and said, go for it. And I mean, I didn't really know what I was doing. And
that's the best way to learn, really, actually.
That's the best way to learn, man. Just throw me in the fire. So I coached Camp Darrell 15s. He helped me. I helped out with the 17s, and man, I just fell in love with the AAU circuit. Got to meet tons of people. We were playing against the family, you know, the old team Detroit. I mean, we get our butt kicked by the Mustangs, but I didn't care. I loved it. I wanted to be a part of it. So then I went down to southeastern Florida and NAI school down there. I had to get out of Michigan. I just wanted to do something new. I got on my bike. I'll never forget. I got on my bike and I biked down to the head coach, basketball coach's office. And he was just walking out of his office. I never talked to him in my life. His name was John Dunlap. And I was on my bike and I said, Coach, can I stop real fast? And you could tell like he was in a hurry. He was trying to get here. I was like, Coach, I'm not trying to be on the team or anything. Like, if you just need help in practice, like a rebounder or something like that, I'm your guy. You know, I played high school ball, won a state championship. I've done some AAU stuff. And he said, all right, sweet, come by tomorrow. So I said, all right, cool. Came by tomorrow. Next thing you know, I'm a student assistant or whatever you want to call it, a manager.
Right.
You know, so I loved it. A week into that, man, he had no assistant. He had no assistants.
So it was just him?
Just him. NAI school, just him. Had some volunteers, stuff like that. Like a week into it, I had a polo, maybe a sweatshirt, and he goes, hey, I need you to go down to this press conference, this coach's press conference with the media down in, like, Warner.
Okay.
And I said, well, he said, I can't make it. My son's got something. He's like, when they ask you questions, just tell them, we think we're going to be middle of the pack. Don't hype us up too much, but don't, pretend like we're bad. And I'm like,
okay. Snap. I've been here a week. I don't even know these
guys.
I've
been here a week. I didn't even know the guy. I knew Nate Marshall. That's all I knew. You should have saw this, man.
Okay.
So I'm driving down to Warren. It's like a 35-minute drive for a head coach's meeting. And I'm 18 years old.
Right.
And I get to one of the tolls, and it doesn't have the wiper thing.
Right. So you just drive through.
You just drive through. But you needed exact change. I didn't have exact change, brother. This is a true story.
I know it is. I've been through this before.
Didn't have exact change. And I'm going to be late for this press conference. And I tell you what, I cannot be late. I don't know where I'm going. There's no way. I can't be late.
Right.
So I ran the toll. Whatever. In my buddy's car. No big deal. So I get to this press conference. I'm the last one there. Everybody's up on a table with their swag on, and they're like,
Mm-hmm.
"Who is this kid?" And I sit down, and like they're asking some questions. I drink the water. Nervous as hell, right? Like, drinking the water. Like, yeah, I'm good here. And I'll never forget they asked. I don't even know what they asked me, and I was like, "Yeah, Nate Marshall. I think he's going to be the player of the year." I'll never forget. And that's all I really said.
Wow.
Nate Marshall, I knew he was our best player. I was like, yeah, I think he'll be the player of the year.
Player of the year. Not just our best player. The best player in the conference.
Best player in the conference. I'm walking out. The Warner Southern coach hits me. He's like, hey, you did pretty good. And I said, really? He said, no, but it was funny as could be. And I said, that's why I appreciate you. I had no idea what I was doing up there.
Yeah.
And then he gave me some basketballs to take back to Southeastern.
What?
Apparently, we don't have balls, and Warner does. So he's like, here's a couple of balls.
Hey, take these balls with you, man.
Take these balls with you. I'm like, what kind of place is this?
This is crazy.
NAI. There's nothing like NAI. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. So we did that for a year. We actually made it to the national championship.
Wow.
Yeah, we had a great year. We lost in the final.
Now, was that player the best player in the conference?
I don't think he was best, but he was definitely first team all-league.
Okay, well, you weren't too far off then.
He was a stud, and we were actually pretty loaded. We had some crazy transfers coming halfway through the year. It was the Wild West, man. It was fun. And I loved it, But I loved it so much. This is when managers of Division I started becoming a little thing on social media. Get the momentum, and I'm like, man, I love it so much. This is definitely what I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I called up Rick Carter at Western Michigan. I said, man, I know David Cool. I went to high school with David Cool.
Now, did you know Rick before you called him? Or somebody told you to call him?
No, David Cool told me to call him. I didn't really know. I knew of him, but David Cool was like, hey, this is my guy. Like, he'll be good. Just call him. That's how it works in this business. People don't know that. That's how it works. You just got to
take the phone call from my guy. He's going to call you tomorrow. Just take the phone call.
That's all.
I know you need help. That's how it works.
That's all it is. One call. Then we met at Applebee's, and he's like, and he tried to scare me, and I wasn't scared. And then I did it for 3 years. So I was the head manager at Western Michigan for Hawk, and we had a good run. We had some bad years in there. We had a good run. We won the MAC West one time.
Okay.
And after that, that's where I met Jeff Dunlap. Jeff Dunlap was an assistant there, and Jeff Dunlap became the operations guy at North Carolina State.
Okay.
So again, it's just all about who you know. So I was really cool with Jeff. My first year, Jeff left. 2 years later, North Carolina State's looking for a GA, and Jeff calls me. And it is what it is.
And the rest is history.
The rest is history. So I go down to North Carolina State. I work camps. I'm sitting on the balcony one day during camp. I mean, you're working 12 hours a day, just pumping balls and filling coolers.
Right.
Mark Godfrey walks up to me and he goes, you want to do this? And I go, yeah.
Yeah.
He goes, all right, you're in. That was it. That was my interview.
That was it.
That was it. Do you want to do this? And I said, yeah. The next thing you know, I'm driving him to the airport, driving him everywhere he can be. I'm like his personal, valet.
Right.
I was a GA actually for 3 years at NC State. And we had some staff things kind of go through, and I actually became the interim ops at by 23 or 24. I was running
that's young.
$4 million budget. That was our budget, $4 million.
Not too shabby. Not too shabby.
Not too bad. So I did
that. You wish you had that $4 million budget now, don't you?
Man, tell me, not the same. Not the same. It's good. It's not the same.
Right.
Not the same. And so I did that for about 3 months, 4 months.
Okay.
Then this job opened up here at Grand Valley, and I had made it a point my whole career, every time Rick Wesley was around, to talk to him, introduce myself. I thought, man, Grand Rapids, that could be a sweet place. I knew they were really good.
Yeah.
I didn't know Rick so much from like the coaching standpoint, but I knew him as a person. I really liked him as a guy. So I would always hunt him down and always try to make a point to him. Well, about 3 months before this job came open, I kind of knew it was going to. I kind of heard that Bauer, the guy before me, might leave.
Right.
I actually came up and played golf with Rick and Clayton Bates and Phil Sayers. We played golf. And it was 3 months before the job was even open. And I was just trying to trying to plant that seed. Like, hey, I'd be interested.
Like, if you ever got an opening,
Got an opening.
Let me know.
And then job came open in July, and there was 92 applicants. 92 applicants for this job.
A lot.
That's a lot. And, you know, I was blessed and got the opportunity to interview, you know, but then it was my work ethic that I really felt that, like, you know, captivated. I always feel like
you over the top.
Yeah, I always feel like it's a blessing to get the opportunity, but I felt like I earned the opportunity.
Right.
You know,
right.
You know,
it wasn't given to you.
It wasn't
like
given.
You got an interview, but then just because you get the interview don't mean you're going to get the job.
Exactly.
Like, you got to kill the interview too.
Got to kill it. So worked my butt off, prepping, making a book, doing all these things, calling everybody under the sun, making sure that, you know, they're, you know, hitting everybody in a circle. And got the job here, and here we are 5 years later and a couple championships later. So, you know, it's been a wild ride.
Yeah.
I wouldn't change anything of it. I really wouldn't. Looking back, I think, like, you know, I have Division I experience, I have high major experience, I have mid-major experience, I have NAI experience, I have AAU experience. I wish I could have coached some high school ball at some point, I would say down the line, because I think high school coaches are freaking awesome.
Yeah.
You know, I think the great ones are just like, man, what a sweet job. They do a great job at it.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe I still will. You know, maybe I'll get the opportunity down the road. So I love Division II. I love Division I. I love Division III. I love it all. I think
just college basketball in general. The level really doesn't matter.
It really doesn't. It's really about where you're at and who you're with and go on the journey with. So just super excited, man. Just we're at a great place. This is, you know, the team's doing great. We got great players, and I got a great boss.
So tell me this. Okay, so we 5 years in, right? Yeah. So we a long way removed on being the first year guy in the GLIAC. Like now you've put your feet in the sand a little bit. You planted your flag. People know who Coach Johnson is in the GLIAC. Yeah. So I want you to tell our platform, what are some of the things that you've learned in this fifth season, this fifth year, about the GLIAC, about the players, about the coaches? What's some things that you've learned about the conference?
Yeah, well, I've learned a lot. It's funny, you know, looking back 5 years ago, I probably came in a little bit too, not really cocky, I would say, but confident.
Yeah.
You know, because I'm coming from the ACC. I mean, I literally am on the bench against Coach K, right. You know, the year before, scouting Jabari Parker. And then
that's your scout.
That's my scout. Like, literally, my scout, I have to give it to Bobby Lutz, and then Bobby Lutz presents it to the team. And then I come to the year, and, like our first, game was against Finley. And, for everybody in the GLIAC, Finley's, the team.
That's a big game.
Big game, but to me, I was like, you know, whatever.
Finley, right.
It's Finley. I didn't really think anything of it.
Duke.
We were getting Duke. I was just in Cameron Indoor. This is fine. And we won on a last-minute three by Luke Reiskamp. And everybody's like, man, what a huge win. And I'm like, it's all right. It's good.
Yeah, it's a good game, but I mean,
you know, and now you're 3 years later, I'm just like, holy cow, we play Finley, I can't sleep. You know? And the Fair State rivalry, I didn't really understand it. I didn't really know Andy and, you know, the good program that he's got going over there. And I didn't really know. I didn't really know. The conference was big at the time. A lot of Ohio schools, Ohio Dominican, Walsh, we had all these schools in Lake Erie.
Yeah.
You know, to me, I was just confused most of the time. Looking back, you know, we had a good year that first year.
Yeah.
We made the conference tournament, which is always a big thing because not everybody makes it. But now looking back, I'm like, man, what I know now, it's just light years compared to what I knew then. And how to scout these teams, how they play, how good they are.
Tendencies.
You know, the tendencies, the coaches, you know, where they're getting their players from. You know, I've learned so much. It's been awesome to see us, you know, on this trajectory, you know, 16, 17, 19, 23 wins. That's been a lot of fun. And a couple, you know, South Division championships later, we're at a really good place. And I think it just, looking back, I think the one thing you just always go back to is man, this league is really difficult. It's really difficult. And you got to get high-level Division I players in here if you want to be, you know, at the top of the league.
Top of the pack. Yep.
So it's been
and that's one thing that you can say that to people. And even in recruiting, when you're recruiting a player, you're talking to a high school coach, talking to an AU coach, and it's listen, I know you think it's D2 and it's not Division I. Understand, if you want to be the best in your league, and every team wants to be the best, you're not planning on being the 8th team in the league. You don't plan on that. You don't recruit on that. When you're recruiting players and you're talking to teams, and like to be at the top of this league, I need to lift Division I level players, and not just any Division I level players, like guys that can go in the MAC and be productive. Like those are the kind of guys in the GLIAC I need to be recruiting. And then some guys will be like, coach, we're just going. And it's just like, no, you need high level players to play in this conference because it's a top to bottom every Thursday and Saturday. I don't care who you playing. I don't care how good your team is. You got a battle on you, and you got to prepare. And if you don't, you can get beat.
Right, no question. And what guys don't realize is like, you know, these players in this league, a lot of them were Division I players.
Yeah.
And were successful Division I
Yep.
players.
Mm-hmm.
We've had 9 Division I transfers in my 5 years here.
Mm.
And we had Isaiah Brock, who literally it could have transferred from Oakland to anywhere.
Right.
He could have gone to, I don't know, Michigan State. He was that high level of an athlete and defender.
Mm-hmm.
We were fortunate enough to get. We've got guys from Youngstown State and Bradley, Illinois State. You know, Christian Negron played in the Final Four for Loyola Chicago, and now he's our starting center. So it's a little frustrating sometimes when you talk to people, and you know the high school kids. It's just like, oh, coach, he's good enough for the GLIAC. I'm like, yeah, well, is he good enough to start at Loyola Chicago in the Final Four?
Yep.
And if they would say yes, I'd be like, I don't really believe you.
Right.
You know, because you're not calling Porter Mosier on the phone right now and telling him that. So, like, you got to come see it. And I think that's what people don't like. You know, like, you got to go to the games. You got to come see the games. Like, you got to go to a Wayne State, Saginaw game, Saginaw Northwood game. You got to go to an Ashland game. You know, it's hard. It's the hardest thing, I think, with our league is getting the casual fan, right? That casual basketball fan. It's easy to be a fan of Michigan State and Michigan.
Of course.
But we want to get that casual fan. Well, if you live near Big Rapids and Stanwood or something, I mean, go to a Ferris game. If you're in the Grand Rapids area, go to a Grand Valley game. You'll be shocked at high level talent. You'll see some dunks. You'll see some You'll see some
and you'll see some great basketball too. I know when I was a high school coach, and I'm a high school coach now, take my guys to games and stuff, and they will always be amazed at I take them to a Wayne State Northwood game. And they're like, coach, like these guys are going at it. And I'm like, yeah, like there's some really good players in this league. And whether those teams are really good or not, like you gotta be able to say that guy right there, I gotta check him. You know, and if you can't say that, then this probably might not be the level for you, or you don't think you might be able to come right in and play. So while we're talking about recruiting, and I want to stay here because that is the portion of our podcast we like to focus on, recruiting and Mitten. So when you're recruiting and you're going out, what kind of things are you looking for a recruiter? What kind of recruiter are you? Are you the high school guy? Are you a JUCO guy? Are you a transfer guy? Like, what's your approach when recruiting for your basketball team?
Yeah, I think the outside people would probably say I'm a transfer guy. I think, you know, a lot of people just kind of always feel like based on our roster, like, hey, Coach Johnson, you know, Grand Valley, they're going after the transfers. Yeah, we do, but we do that later. You know, we always try to start with the high school kids, and we always try to get the best ones we can. You know, the Jake Van Tubergens, you know, the Sean Cobbs. We're always trying to get those kids first because we'd love to have 4-year players. But at the end of the day, our job is to get the best players. And with the transfer market the way it is, if you're a high school player and you have a great offer, you better take that thing because
you better take it.
It's crazy. Like the amount of guys that are available now in the 21 class for high school kids, like we're on some kids, you know, hopefully sign one today and we're, you know, recruit a couple more. But at the end of the day, the market for them is so small because I know in April, I'm going to be able to go to a portal, like a dating website, and go through this list of 1,000 guys
kids
who play Division I basketball. And I can go to their stats and see if they were productive or not. And a lot of those kids can't go Division I.
They can't.
A lot of them have to come down to.
They have issues. They have clock issues, grade issues. Yep.
Red shirts, injuries, you know, off the court issues. So it's crazy. It's crazy to think like if you're a high school kid, like you have that many options. You don't have that many options. It's small. You better be an elite player. You better work on your game. I'm not saying that you can't get there in April, but in April it's going to look totally different. It's going to be a lot harder. We try to always start with the high school kids in the fall. We always try to target them the year before, going into their junior year, build that relationship, and we like to sign 1 or 2 guys. That's just kind of who we are. It's how we've been. The middle of the season, we really do focus on going to high school games and junior college games. That's when we really focus on the junior college kids. We've had some success. We've had a couple junior college guys here. John Slater was really good for us last year from Oakland Community College.
Okay.
And we always try to dabble in that world, one or two guys that we feel like maybe under the radar a little bit or haven't blown up yet, and try and get in there. But then once April hits, man, I'm probably 90% on the transfers. I really am. I lean that way. We've had tons of success with them.
Yeah.
Just last year, we brought in Jaden Hodgson from Bradley, Isaac Gassman from Illinois State, Christian McGraw from Loyola Chicago, Delion Brown from Colorado.
Grand Rapids kid.
And it's just kind of like a lot of these kids, either want to come back or they played at Division I. They realize that it's just okay. I'm only getting 10 minutes. Let's try Division II and see what we can do. So that's kind of our, who we are. That's kind of who we've been.
So it's kind of like if, in a snapshot, it's kind of high school early. Try to get a high school kid early. Yeah. During the year, we're looking at a couple JUCO kids. And late, if you haven't signed a high school kid or a JUCO kid, now, in April, we're going to look in the transfer market.
No question. And we'll take that transfer market all the way to July and August.
Yeah.
And we'll take that thing late as can be. So it's getting later and later and later for us. And I know this year, obviously, with the 3 years, it's just going to be it's going to be a whole lot.
It's going to be a madhouse. And while we're here, and I want you to talk to the class of 2021, right? You're a Division II coach, high-level Division II coach. You guys get transfers. You're going to have seniors that's going to be coming back. So Jake Van Tubergen, if he don't get an overseas offer, he can come back. He's the best player, one of the best players in the conference. He can say, sorry, Parker, you have to wait another year. I'm coming back. So how does that affect your recruiting? Do you have any advice for the class of 2021 on how to approach recruiting when almost if a senior wants to come back, they can? And that pretty much means that your scholarship offers aren't really what they are. You really got to go to a school that's really investing in you. So give my class of 2021 some advice from a college coach on how to approach their recruiting.
Yeah, the 21 class, they need to understand the dynamics of how scholarships work. In Division I, you have 13 full scholarships. It's either you get one or you don't. In Division II, they're broken up. At the end of the day, you only have so much money. And basically, it's either you're going to get something or you're going to get nothing or you're going to get a partial. So it's kind of like a salary cap. Division III, there aren't scholarships, NAIs, combination of scholarships and academic aid. So think about it from the Division I level. They have 13 scholarships. Well, they have 3 seniors. All 3 of the seniors come back. And if they signed you in the 21 class and the school's not going to raise their equivalency from 13 to 16,
right?
I don't know what's going to happen to those kids. So you better be sure that when you sign either today or, this week, that regardless if those seniors come back or not, that you have that scholarship.
Is the money still available?
The money's still available, because if it's not, I don't know how that's going to work. For our program, I can really only speak on our program. We have 5 seniors this year.
Okay.
If all 5 come back, we are taking them back. They're all high scholarship kids. They will have their scholarships. We have set aside a little bit of money for the 21 class. If we sign someone here this fall, he will have that money regardless
whether they come back or not.
Now, the school could also say, hey, if these guys come back, we'll raise your equivalency scholarships up from 10 to 12 or 13. That would also open up new money for the 21 class.
Okay, now this is coach talk. So I want you to break down that equivalency for our platform. So I think we rolled over it. I don't think people really caught that. Raising your equivalency up from 10 to 13. So what does that mean, coach?
Yeah, so we have 10 full scholarships at Division II level. Okay. To raise your equivalency would be for our AD to say, because of the pandemic and because the kids get it for a year, the university will now give us more money to go from 10 to 12 scholarships. Now, we're in a pandemic.
Right.
We're in the biggest budget crisis of my lifetime. And I'm going to be honest with you, I don't think many, if any, Division IIs will do that. And I don't think many low major, mid-major schools will do that either. I think they will stick to the number they have, because that's taking money away from the university. If that happens and you have a scholarship offer now in the 21 class, you better think long and hard about taking it, because it might not be there tomorrow and it might not be there next year. But the question that you need to ask the coaches is, if the seniors come back, do I still have the scholarship? That's the big thing they got to understand. So it's going to be a trickle-down effect. It's going to be hard for the 21 class. It's going to be hard for the 22 class. But at the end of the day, if you're a good enough player to play at this level, you're good enough to play at the Division I level or Division III level, we will still find you. We will still get you. We will still make it happen if you're good enough and you have all the intangibles. If you're not putting the work in and you're kind of a fringe guy and you're trying to, kind of one of those guys, it might be a year where maybe you have to understand that maybe you need to go junior college.
Yep.
Which
or prep.
Bad route. Or prep, which, again, they're not bad routes. So it's going to be a weird year. The only thing I would tell those kids, man, if you have a good offer that you like, go ahead and take it, but make sure that it's there regardless of they're going to raise their equivalencies or not. So
that's a good point, because you can say, all right, I want to commit to the school, and if those seniors come back, your money isn't available. Right. So that means they don't have a scholarship for you.
They don't have a scholarship, which would be awful. And at Grand Valley, we are not going to do that. I can promise you that. We will not sign a kid in the 21 class, and then if all the seniors come back and say, hey, sorry, you don't have your money.
We can't take you now.
We're not going to do it. We're not those people. We never will be those people. Do I think some schools will do that? 100%.
Oh, yeah, for sure. For sure.
And I'm just being real. I just think you got to understand the man and the character of the coach that you're signing with. And you also don't be afraid to talk to compliance people. Compliance people are the people in charge of scholarships and academics at your school. They're in charge of your rules. So, their emails are all on their website. They're probably the most important person in the department. As a high school kid, if you're signed, don't be afraid to ask them questions about how this works with the waiver and equivalency and everything like that. So, kids, you got to do your homework a little bit, but you got to understand where you're going and who you're signing with. But at Grand Valley, we will not be in that situation.
Okay, that's a good point, Coach. So now that we've discussed about taking an offer if you've got one. So say you're looking to offer a kid, right? And you've got an available scholarship for the 22 class. We're not talking 21s. Got available scholarship for the 22 class. What are some things that you're looking for when you're looking at film, when you're going to AU tournaments, when you're going to high school games and practices? What are some things that you like to key on, that you like your recruits? Like if you're looking for a guard, he's got to do this. You're looking for a forward, he's got to do this. I know for me, it was always shooting. If you couldn't shoot, I'm not recruiting you, right? Unless you're a high-level kid and it's like, all right, well, you're going to fall because you can't shoot. Now I can fix that. So what are some attributes, recruiting attributes, that you look for when you're going out recruiting this 22 class?
Yeah. Well, it's hard. One thing the 21s and 22s you have to understand is, like, we're at a weird time where we weren't really able to recruit all summer, right? We weren't out. I haven't seen it. I've been watching Big Baller on TV, and it's okay. It's not great. It's not the same. It's not my eye. I can't watch you on the bench. Can't see how you act, how you interact with the players, how you take coaching. The one thing that we look for, and I really look for, is I want kids who want to be here. I want you to want to be at Grand Valley. I'd rather take a kid who is striving to get the Grand Valley offer than the kid who kind of treats it just like, it's just, we're there. Because that just doesn't really work here. We're such an elite place. We're such a high-level academic place. We have 26,000 kids. We have a huge campus following.
Whoa, did you say 26,000?
26,000.
Wow, that's a big campus.
We're the third biggest school in Michigan.
Okay.
You're not going to just come in here and just like, it could, it could gobble you up.
It'd be overwhelming.
It could be overwhelming. You got to know what you're getting into. So my biggest thing, you got to want to be in Grand Rapids. You got to want to have this experience. You got to have a want to be like the Yankees or Duke. Like, everybody wants to beat us. Everybody wants to be us. They always feel like we have the nicest things, the best gear, best arena, the most money, all that stuff. Well, with that comes a huge target on our back, right?
Of course.
You're going to get everybody's best shot. You're always going to get that. People are always envious. It is what it is. But you got to be able to handle that. We can only take a certain kid who can really handle that. So, I'm really looking for that. I think that would be a big thing. How you respond to my texts, how you respond to my calls, social media interactions, all that stuff's really important. As far as your skills, you got to be tough. You got to be tough. And I don't mean like strong, I'm 6'6", 240.
Cut like a chisel tough.
Yeah, that's not what I mean. I mean like here, tough here, mentally tough.
Between the ears.
between the ears, man, you got to be sharp. You understand the game. Like if I miss a couple shots and I'm a shooter, I don't want to see you pass up the next wide open shot. I want to see you nail that.
Take it and drill it.
Take it and drill it. You got to be so mentally tough to play at this level. You know, the shots you get in practice are not game shots. You know, they're not. And I really want to see if you can hit game shots in a high-level atmosphere. I love watching playoff basketball. AU's good. I like it when you're kind of an underdog playing a better team because I think you rise to that occasion. But what I really love is I love the high school playoffs because I love the atmosphere. Hey, all right, the lights are brighter. The closeouts are a little longer. The attention to detail, the scouting report's a little tougher, which what it would be like in college. You know, can you handle that?
Right.
You know, in college, I think what high school kids don't realize is the scouting's so detailed and
very detailed
that if you can't dribble left, we will exploit that at every minute.
Oh, for sure.
If you can't get to the cup, if you can only shoot threes, so what can you get? Are you good enough to get through it? I always look at Jonathan Jones at Oakland, right? He could only go one way, but his going one way was the best one.
Was better than everybody else. You weren't stopping it.
You weren't stopping it, so it didn't matter. Like you weren't stopping. You knew he was going that way, and he was
and you still couldn't stop it.
Couldn't stop it. You know, I look at shooters in our league. You know, like we've had a few. You know, the Hunter Hales, the Jack Ammermans, the Dawson Bilskis. You know, we know those guys are elite shooters. Can you still get the shot off? You know, everybody in the world knows you're one of the best shooters.
Everybody, you step on the floor, they know you're a shooter.
We know it, but can you still get them off? Can you still find ways? So
that's a talent now. Now when you start talking about shooting, now that's when I get piped up. That is a talent that not a lot of people, especially shooters or people that think that they're shooters, like, okay, that's cool. They play in a 2-3 zone, you can get your shot off. Can you get this shot off, man-to-man, somebody in your face? You got to tug a guy off of you, and you got to know how to come off the screen. You got to know how to catch it, get your feet set, let it go. Those are like the small little things that I think high school players don't pay attention to until they get to college. And it's like, oh, this is what Coach Cam was talking about, why you can't get a shot off. Yeah, because your release is too slow. You know, so that's a big deal.
And it's hard. At the high school level, the scouting isn't that intense, and the competition isn't on a day-to-day basis as tough as college, obviously.
Right.
So, like, you have to have a mindset every day of just, like, you got to have that killer mindset between the ears where, like, even if I'm up by this team by 20, I still got to come off the screen like I'm down 20 and nail this three. Like, that's what we want to see. We don't want to see the lazy go through the motions. Hey, they're playing the 2-3 zone, swing, pass, shot, jog back. It's, you know, it's the little things, you know, that we're really looking for. And another big thing that we strive here is defensive rebounding. So if you are a shooter, you are talented, getting to the rim, all those things, that's great. It's really, really important. It always will be. Shooting probably is the number one thing. It probably always will be. But the defensive rebounding aspect here at Grand Valley is we're always in top 3 in every single defensive category. So that's kind of what we hang our head on, you know. So, like, if you can't do those things, but you're an elite shooter, you're just not going to play. It's just not going to happen.
Right.
You know, Coach Wesley, he's all about the pack line defense. We're going to run the pack line. We're going to hedge ball screens. We're going to switch a lot. We're going to rebound our butts off, and it's going to be physical.
And if you can't play that way, you can't play for us.
You can't play for us, which is okay. Not everybody can. You know,
that's true.
We recruit a different player than Ferris recruits, and, you know, we recruit a different player than Michigan Tech recruits, and that's okay. And they're all good players. It's just different styles. So you have to recruit to your head coach. You have to recruit to the style that you're going to play. We want high-level athletes. We want great shooting, yes. But you got to be able to show some respect on the defensive end.
Okay, so I want to talk about one of your players. Hopefully we clan and we're going to get flagged or anything. And if it does, I'll cut it out. Yeah. But you have a player on your team, right? His name is Jake Van Tubergen, right? He's a senior, one of the best seniors in the conference. I think he was at 18 or 19 points per game last year. You get him back this year. I want you to talk about him and his progression, because the player he is now was not the player he was as a freshman, even though he was a good player. Good player as a freshman. I think he was one of the either freshman in the league or co-freshman in the league, one of those two.
Yeah.
But I want you to talk about his progression, for one, and for two, how do you get a high-level player like that to come to Grand Valley? Did he have a lot of offers in high school? Because he's a Michigan kid, if I'm correct, right?
Yeah, Jake.
Michigan kid. So how do you get a guy like that who in 3 years is the best player in the GLIAC?
Yeah. Jake's a great story. I just got hired in July, and Jake was a skinny, lanky, long, rangy scorer. Played at West Ottawa High School in Holland, Michigan.
Okay.
Was a good player. Had every whack offer you could imagine. Had a lot of GLIAC offers. And then he had some Westerns and Toledo's kind of come by the gym if they were in town, swing by. Who's this like 6'6", skinny kid. Didn't really shoot the ball well. But he had a knack for scoring. He reminded me a lot of TJ Warren we had at NC State, who now
that's a nice comparison. TJ Warren, he was getting buckets in the bungle.
Getting buckets in the bubble now. I mean, he was just murdering people for Indiana.
Right.
But TJ, we never ran a play for. He just found the ball and scored it. Well, Jake's the same way. He just kind of finds the ball and scores it. He just had that thing you couldn't really, you couldn't really teach. You really couldn't. Well, it kind of came down to us in Davenport. His buddy Avery Hudson had just signed with Davenport. They played the same AU team.
Yep.
And it was us in Davenport, and we had the official visit second. And the official visit was great. His mom and dad loved us. He wasn't going to get that Division I offer. You could feel it because of his body, because he was so skinny.
Because he was skinny.
He was just so skinny, and people just, were thrown off by that. But we knew he had good genes. His older brother, Tyler, was the quarterback at Western Michigan when I was a student.
Okay. I didn't know that.
His other brother, Trevor, was the quarterback at Wayne State.
Okay.
So I knew, there was that toughness, younger brother thing in there that, man, this kid's going to be a little tougher than we think.
Right.
So we liked the genes, too. So we had a great official visit. He committed probably the next week. We got him on a scholarship, ready to go. He came in, and I had signed a kid named Kenny Williams, who was a transfer from St. Joe's College, Division II, that their school closed down.
Yep.
And Kendrick was coming in off an all-conference year. He was going to play the 4 spot and be our starter and kind of almost be our guy.
Right. And
Kendrick tore his ACL first day of practice.
Tough.
When Kendrick went down, next thing you know, we're looking around what
we going to do? Next man up.
Next man up. Well, Jake had gotten taller, probably about 1.5 inches taller. He was a good 6'7.5" now. And you're kind of looking at him like, man, are you taller? You kind of threw him out there. And next thing you know, he's freshman of the year.
Right.
And we kind of knew that, hey, he had just a natural knack of scoring. His sophomore year, the team was great. He still had great numbers, but he was second team all-league. He was very frustrated with that. He really felt like he had a first-team all-league season.
So he had a chip on his shoulder going into his junior year.
He had a huge chip on his shoulder going into his junior year. Hunter Hale was on our team. He was first-team all-league. He transferred out, went to Winthrop.
Yep.
And we were really all right, Jake, hey, this is now your team. What are you going to do, big fella? Well, it turns out he's a first-team All-American. by three different people. So, he had a tremendous year last year. I really do believe him and Kyle Monroe will go down as 2 of the greatest GLIAC players ever. I do think they're good players that they could probably play anywhere, but this was the perfect level for them to have tremendous success, to be, a Hall of Famer, to really make their mark, to have their jersey retired one day. That being said, Jake has now a different chip on his shoulder this year, where it's the targeted guy. Everybody knows who he is.
Oh, everybody. Yeah, they know him now.
Everybody knows who you are now. So now you're going to get double teams. You're going to get takedowns. You're going to get chokes. You're going to get fires. He's going to see all different kind of defensive styles that he's never seen before. And how does he handle that? How does he expand his game? He really has expanded his game to the three-point shot.
Okay.
He's never made more than 19 in a season. I'd be shocked if he doesn't make 20, 33s this year. I think.
Really? Okay.
I think he's really improved there.
33s is one a game. I want to see that.
I know. I'd love to see it too.
Right.
But he's shooting high clip right now. He's really expanded his game. I think he's going to ball handle a little bit more for us this year.
Okay.
We're going to play him a little bit more up top. He'll still have his inside touches. But we're really excited, man. We're really excited for him. But again, it's about him wanting to be here at a great place and digging deep and believing that, hey, Grand Valley is the best.
This is the place for me.
This is the place for me. He could have left. He could have done a lot of different things. He said, no, I want to be one of the greats. I want to be a Hall of Famer. I want to be All-American. I want to win championships. I want to do it here at Grand Valley.
And that's not easy to do. People can say that, and I tell people all the time, when we talk about recruiting, they talk about the GLIAC and D2s, oh, yeah, I'm going to go D2 and be All-American. Be like, listen, understand, being a Division II All-American, you have to be a high-level player. We're not talking about some guy that just averaged 20 points per game. Like, you got to be effective. You got to know how to score, rebound, defend. Like, you got to do it all and go to the right school. Like, that's just not something that you can come in and be like, yeah, I'm going to be All-American. Like, no, that's not an easy thing to do. There's only a certain few amount of kids or players that can say that. And Jake Van Tubergen can say that because he's put in the work. And looking forward to watching you guys and watching him this year because you guys bring a lot back, got some transfers. You're bringing a lot back, bringing one of the best players back. So I would suggest that you guys would have a good year. So talking about the year, is the season going to happen? Do you guys have a schedule? What are some of the things, and you don't have to speak on it a whole lot, but what are some things that you're seeing about with the pandemic on how the season is going to go?
Yeah, well, again, we talked about earlier for the recruits to come to games, the casual fan. It's going to be difficult this year to come to games.
Of course.
But again, I do encourage kids to watch it. We have a Grand Valley Sports Network here. We also have an ESPN3 contract where all our games are on the Watch ESPN app. So you can just go to watchespn.com and watch our games. So we're really going to
every game.
All our home games.
Okay.
We run it here at the home games. So, so I'm going to really encourage people to get, hey, when you're sitting at home and there's nothing on, whatever, because we're in a pandemic. Turn us on. Really pub that. So really push that. We don't have a schedule that's announced yet. Hopefully, it'll be announced by the end of the week. It's looking like we'll play 18 games starting in January.
Starting in January. Okay.
January, which we'll be excited about. But there's a ton of challenges this year. High schools will see this too. Football's kind of going through it right now.
Yep.
But the biggest thing is for these recruits, they got to understand, and for our guys to understand is you are in charge of if we play games or not.
Right.
Like it's the student.
It's up to you.
The kid. It's up to you. If you wash your hands and you wear your mask and you don't go to parties and you social distance, we can have a season.
Right.
If you don't do those things, we will not.
We can't have a season.
It's just not going to happen. I looked at Michigan yesterday. We had 9,000 new cases. There was a record high by 3,000. It was unbelievable. And I don't want to shut down. I want to have a season. I want to move forward. But if you want to play high school basketball or you want to play college basketball or like college basketball you want to happen, well, you better understand that starting here right now, December, you better change your mindset and change how you're living. Because as you can see with football, it's not really going very well. SEC just canceled 2 more games today. Unity Christian down the road in Hudsonville's undefeated. They had to forfeit their playoff game. I think they want to win a state championship. I don't want that to happen for high school kids that we're recruiting, and I don't want it to happen for us.
Right.
But they got to understand, I'm not in control of that.
You are.
DX not control, and the presidents are in control. You are in control of it. If you want to have a year, tell your buddy to put his mask on and tell him to quit hanging out with people that you don't know where they've been. And you only have to do it for about 3 months to have a season.
That's it. Small window.
Focus and lock in. Get your team to, hey, we are going to create as much of a bubble as we can for 3 months to have an opportunity to have a season. And I want to watch you play. I want to come to your games. I want to watch you on TV. I want to watch you on the internet. But I can't do that if you don't take care of yourself.
If you don't follow the precautions.
If you don't follow the precautions. So if you want to be recruited, wear your mask, social distance, wash your hands. If you don't really want to be recruited, you don't really care. Whatever. I won't see you play. Right. And Division I's won't either because they can't go out yet. And the only way they're going to be able to go out is if this pandemic comes down.
Right.
So
the only way.
It's the only way. So, listen, man, I really hope we have a season. We're on our guys 24/7. Have we had some cases? Yeah, we've had some cases. Have we handled it well? I think now we're handling it better. We've gone through some quarantine, some learning processes. We're treating practices different. Everything's going to be different. So, as we move forward, man, I just hope that everybody takes it serious. So we can
wear your mask. Wear your mask.
Wear your mask. Is it cool? No, it's not cool, but everybody's doing it. So now it is cool.
Now it is cool. It's got to be cool.
Make it cool. Make it cool. Set it right that we're not going to be hugging this year. It's okay. We'll return to hugging hopefully in 2022. But you got to take it serious if we're going to have a season. So
you do. So while we're here, and I'm gonna leave you with this. First of all, before we get to this last part of my last question, I really appreciate you taking the time because I don't think people understand. Like when you coach in college, especially at the Division II level, because I was there, you don't have a whole lot of time to sit down and talk to somebody for 45 minutes. So I really appreciate you taking the time out and sitting here and talking to our platform and talking to me. But what are some of the last things that you want people to know about you, to know about your program, while you have this recruiting platform, and to talk to our listeners? What do you want them to know about Coach Johnson and Grand Valley State University?
Yeah, well, I just want them to know that we're a loyal, honest program, and that's who we're going to be, and we're always going to be that. I am so loyal to Coach Wesley and Coach Wallace in Grand Valley. I always will, just like how I'm loyal to Coach Hawk in Western Michigan. Yeah. I was so hurt that he got let go, and Mark Godfrey at NC State when he got let go. I will always be loyal to people who give me a chance. In the same way here at Grand Valley, if you come play in this program, you're going to be part of us. We still reach out to the guys all the time who've only played here 1 year. Mm-hmm. If you've only played here 1 year, well, you played here. You have a part of us. You have a part of Grand Valley. It's a part of your experience. It's part of your journey.
Yeah.
We're always going to be honest with you. We're always going to challenge you. We're always going to try to make you better. You're not going to come in here with promises. You're not going to come in here with red roses. I'm going to promise that you're going to turn into Jake Van Tubergen. It's just not going to happen. You have to make it happen. I will give you the keys, give you the tools, give you the facilities, give you access to make it happen. But at the end of the day, it's going to be on you. So
on you. Yep.
We have an unbelievable platform here, but it's not for everybody. It's really not, man. It's really not. We can't recruit every kid. We can't take every kid. We are going to be select. We are going to be very picky. You better be elite in every aspect. How you handle your business academically, socially, and athletically all matters to us. And at the end of the day, you know what? If you come through here and you play 4 years or 2 years here and you graduate, you're going to become a better person. There's just no doubt about it.
Yeah.
We're going to win games. We are going to win games. We are going to lose games. We're going to compete for championships. But when you graduate and you look back, you're going to think, man,
how was my experience?
Coach Wesley, Coach Johnson, Coach Wallace made me a better person. I see right now, this is why they were on me about this. Why do we sit in the front row in class? Why do you not wear your hood to dinner? Why do we not take our phones anywhere off the bus? They're going to look back and be like, oh, that's why. Oh, that's why. It's going to help you for this interview. It's going to help you for this job offer. It's going to get you job offers. It's going to help.
Your guys got to leave their phone on the bus?
They got to leave their phone on the bus.
Okay.
That's how it is. Hey, learn to live without it. Learn to live without it. So,
okay.
There's a lot of little things that we do here. It's not for everybody. It's not for everybody, but that's okay because we're going to challenge you. And if you like to be challenged and you want something not to be given to you, well, this is a great place. This is a place for you. But if you're someone that just needs everything handed to you, it's just not going to work.
There are a lot of players like that.
I'm not that kind of guy. Coach Wesley's not that kind of guy. We're lunch bucket guys. Every single day we try to pick up our lunch bucket and we go to the office. We try to bring it every single day. Coach Wesley doesn't have bad days. I've never seen him have a bad day. I've never seen him have a sick day. That's not who he is. He's going to show up. He's going to give it his best. And that's what we ask from our guys too. Is it easy? No, it's not easy. I saw Cassius Winston had a clip the other day. He's getting ready for the combine. And he said, it's so hard to play hard every day.
Yes.
It's so hard to play hard every day.
Yep.
And you really think about it, it is really hard to do. It is really hard to do. And Izzo demands it, and we demand it. And if you can't do it, you will fall. You will fall down, and we'll try and pick you up every single time, but this place might not be for you. And that's okay. And that's okay.
Perfectly fine.
I understand that. We had a kid last year who had a great experience here, but kind of lost the love for the game and thought, he wanted to go down a level. That's okay. That's great. Wish you the absolute best. I hope he kills it. I hope he has a great year. But I'd rather you be honest with us because we're going to be honest with you.
Honest with you.
So that's kind of who we are. It's a little different, but it's worked for us.
That's awesome, Coach. Well, I appreciate you coming on my platform, talking about your program, talking about recruiting, because I think these athletes, these players, coaches, and teams, they need to hear from some of the coaches they don't normally hear from. They need to hear from the Grand Valley coaches. They need to hear from, coaches at William Woods University. Like, they need to hear from some different perspectives because everybody's not Tom Izzo, and everybody's not going to go to Michigan State. You might actually have the opportunity to go to a school like Grand Valley, and you just don't know it yet because you're not open to those opportunities. And I just want to thank you for coming to our platform, talking to our listeners. We wish you guys the best. Hopefully you have a full season, and we're going to be watching the Lakers. Look, my logo is blue and black now. It ain't red and blue. It's blue and black because I like the shirt. I like, shirt look nice. I like those colors. I got black on now. So I really like the black and blue. And I couldn't always say that. I can say that now. So, Coach, Thanks for coming on our platform. Anything that we can do to help you guys, trust me, we will and we can.
Yeah, no doubt. Appreciate it, man. God bless everybody.
Sounds good. I'll talk to you soon, Coach.